From the unknowns of last week at Road America to the solidifying of who's moving on to the Elite Eight tonight, it's time for more playoff racing action for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Playoff time for the round of 12 as the drivers come to that of Welcome to Smashville 175 here at that of Nashville Fairgrounds. Short track racing, short tempers about to be bursting from the brim, and we're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. Robert Moyer Jr. is going to be running productions in the background. Zach, we're in qualifying currently, but man, I cannot wait to see what's going to happen here tonight because there's a lot of storylines of the playoffs. Who could be bounced out from making it to the Elite Eight and who could potentially be moving in to having a chance for a championship.
Yeah, plenty of storylines all around here for sure at the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, man. And I tell you, this track too, I think that's probably one of the biggest talking, stages of this event right here is because the Nashville Fairgrounds is a very newer track here to iRacing, first of all, but also newer to the NASCAR, NASCAR series. So it's going to be interesting to see how these trucks can navigate over this older, bumpier surface. But I tell you what, it's really going to set up for an interesting playoff round here ending, and I cannot wait to see who is the 8 drivers moving on after here tonight because, again, after they move on, they're going to have another tough couple races ahead of them.
There are going to be about 21 drivers expected to be starting tonight's race. We've got a minute and 20 seconds left in qualifying. You see the 91 of Mark Morales Jr. going to be on the hit there last lap, trying to stay out that outside wall. One driver we do know that is officially locked into the next round. That's Danny Cochran after his win last week at Road America. He currently has topped the board with an 18.521. Mark Morales' second lap going to be into the tally books, but was slower than his first lap, so that's going to be a tough pill to swallow for the 91. But we got a lot of playoff contenders, 12 in total coming into tonight. Mark Whitley with the best favorite, with having a 15-point advantage. Trenton Jump's got a 10-point advantage. Christopher Norris, 7-point advantage. Ethan Smith, 5 points. Then you've also got John Forrest with a 2-point advantage. Nick Crawford, 7th in points. He's going to be 7th coming into tonight, but only a 1-point advantage over going to be Cody Reed. Cody Reed, our bubble driver, 8th in points, but behind him, you got Noah Steele, 7 points out of our Elite 8. You've got Kyle Rochelle, 9 points out of our Elite 8. Eric Stamp, 12 points out, and the biggest shocker, I think, of them all, that of Cedric Hunter, 13 points out from that of our Elite 8, practically in a must-win scenario if he does not get a large amount of points at our stage break.
Yeah, that's a great point there, Sam, because the stage break is going to be so crucial for a few of those guys, like you said. I mean, especially Cedric Hunter, Eric Stamp. They're going to have to really find as many points here in this stage to gain on Cody Reed, Nick Crawford, John Forbes, the guys right above that cut line. And really, the only person, like you said, who can feel pretty much worry-free is Danny, because, even with Mark where he's at position-wise, he's still, if he goes out here, has a bad first stage, gets involved in an incident, knocks him out of the race, that puts him in a predicament that he would not like to see. So getting to that lap 70 stage, I think, should be the first thing on a lot of these playoff drivers' minds of how they can try to, grow that cushion, as you would say, to those drivers behind them, to give them that little bit more luxury heading into the final portion of this race where they can feel a little bit more confident, not having to worry about their surroundings on the racetrack, just worrying about getting to that checkered flag.
And for the drivers here tonight, stage break is going to be at lap 70. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, here's where the drivers going to be starting here tonight, as this is going to be your lap qualifying results for tonight's event. As top of the board, that 31 who won last week at Road America, it's going to be Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley in the 77 who is outside, Ethan Smith in the 00 going to be 3rd, Ali Fonseca 4th, Cedric Hunter, who needs a big points day. If he's going to make it into the final 4, going to be 5th. That of Jonathan Smith going to be in 6th. John Forbes close to the bubble spot, the 11 is going to be in 7th place. Kyle Rochelle, one of the drivers outside looking in, going to be starting 8th. Noah Steele right on the cusp of making it to the playoff, making it to the next round of the playoffs, going to be 9th, and Trenton Jump going to be finishing out our top 10.
In the 11th position, one of our other playoff drivers is going to be Nick Crawford, along with his teammate Christopher Norris there in the 12th spot. 13th is going to go to the 19 of Tyler Dingler. 14th is going to be Joshua Freed. 15th is going to be Eric Stamp on the outside, looking in, trying to get his way into that round of 8. 16th is going to go to Nolan Hicks. 17th is going to be the 29 of Logan Brakey. 18th is Cody Reed, who came in above that cut line. He's going to need to pick up that pace. 19th is going to be Martin Morales Jr. And our last two cars on the field in the 20th and 21st position is Dakota Muniz and Robert Hattenback.
21 drivers coming into tonight, and for a large majority of these drivers, a lot of pressure being tallied on. You've got to make sure you run almost a perfect race here tonight. And Zach, short track racing, this track, Nashville Fairgrounds, just over a half a mile in length, but certainly has a lot of characteristics that drivers have to be focused for every single lap.
Yeah, you really do have to be focused for every single lap. The biggest thing I think that is characteristically wiser on this track is the bumps. They're just notoriously very, very aggressive when it comes to that bottom lane. It seems like you'll see a lot of guys kind of entering that top groove, maybe cut down a little bit on exit, but they're going to try to navigate around those bumps. So when you do have that side-by-side action, that is inevitable here at the Nashville Fairgrounds, that driver on that bottom lane is going to be at a disadvantage, having to drive over top those bumps, keep that truck in line, and really not try to spin that thing out, because from what I've seen here in practice, these trucks are very much on the edge. They're going to have to try to manage that, and especially when these restarts happen on these cold tires, that is going to be the most treacherous time for these drivers. So you can see them already, all of them trying to wiggle around as much as they possibly can here, move back and forth to try to scrub a little bit of heat into those tires, because you're going to need it heading down to 1 and 2 here on this restart.
Speaking more about heat, there is a lot of drama and spiciness that has been creeping up over the last couple of weeks, especially between that of the Blackjack Racing crew and that of Desert Snow. I mean, Snowy Desert, excuse me, those drivers, those teammates, there is some beef to be holding on to. But for tonight, it's time to see who's making it to the lead 8 as we are green for Welcome to Smashville 175. And down into turn number 1, drivers already trying to hold on for their seats, recognizing the exit turn 2, the disastrous place to find yourself.
And just like that, like I said, that bottom lane was so tough to hold somebody off. It's going to be Danny Cochran losing the lead there to Mark Willie, as he's going to come around and lead lap number 1. That's big for him there to get that 1 bonus point for leading the lap here already to start this race.
Already going to be in a comfortable position for that 77 machine. That 1 bonus point, so useful, but already carnage in the back. Driver spun around, that of Joshua Freed in the 96 for himself. Only 2 laps in, and Zach, I think this is kind of something we were expecting to find here tonight as drivers. Some going to be overzealous in the entry, and also the exit of the corners, the 2 tough spots of the night.
Yeah, it's very, very tough to start lap number 2. I believe the 86 and Nolan Hicks was the driver who was the one that got into this 96 here. Joshua Freed sent him around in the 1. And that's the thing when you come to short track racing too, drivers are going to have different styles of braking, especially early in the run where you really don't have that confidence built up yet. It's going to be a little bit different throughout the field. And right there, I think Hicks just thinking the 96 was going to go in deeper there, gets in the rear end, and it's already on edge like I was saying before. So any little bit of contact, you're going to spin right around, and that's what happened to that 96 of Freed.
Nolan Hicks with that contact going to be coming into pit road. Some other drivers that were nearby that accident going to be Eric Stamp in the 53, Cody Reed, both all around that incident. And I believe Stamp gained a slight damage from that incident. See if he'll have to come into pit road and get any repairs or just deal with what he's got, because that's going to be another thing of these drivers is they have no fast repair. If you get any type of damage, you're going to have to deal with it. But luckily we are at a short track where aerodynamics, not the biggest thing, but you don't want to get any of that front end damage for yourself. Especially, Zach, we've been watching the damage, factors in a lot of different cars that we cover here on Freaking Fast Broadcasting. These trucks, that front end seems to be the most brittle of all the machines that we watch.
That it really does, man. I actually had one of the drivers bring it up to me before this race saying, man, the front end is very, very weak when it comes to taking damage. And it is interesting to see that with this truck. It's definitely different than what we've seen with especially the next gen Cup Series car. That thing is pretty much, a tank on wheels. And in this truck here, it seems to be a lot more fragile. So you got to be very careful. And even though it is a half a mile, these corners are still somewhat highly banked or somewhat decent speed you're carrying around here. These trucks make so much downforce, mostly with that front splitter area of this truck. If you don't have that part of the truck in pristine condition, it's going to be very, very tough to try to make up passes, try to make up ground on somebody because of that aero efficiency that you will lose with that damage. So drivers are going to try to keep them, most damage off of this truck, but still short track racing, it's not the most, detrimental thing, but it definitely can still have somewhat of an effect.
You don't want to be getting too much damage for yourself. Talking about points, there are bonus points to be grabbed. We talked about stage points, top 10 at our stage break. The end of lap 70 will get bonus points. First gets 10, and it drops down by 1 position until we get to 10th place, where they only get 1 bonus point for themselves. You also get a bonus point for leading a lap. Leading the most laps gets 3 bonus points, and no instant points also gets a bonus point. As we're back to green flag racing. And it's going to be seeing our front 2 already single file out. Now turn number 2, what a great shot to see drivers side by side deeper in the field.
Yeah, side by side out of that turn 2, theirs can be very, very sketchy, especially on these newer tires. These drivers will look to try to build up that air pressure, build up the heat here, and try to get some momentum underneath them. But Mark Whitley with a great restart there from that bottom lane, so he's been able to hold on to that position. But right back there near around the 5th position, you got Jonathan Smith trying to hold back this 13 of Cedric Hunter along with Kyle Rochelle. But again, that bottom lane so tough to make the pass work. That outer groove does have an advantage with it being much smoother.
Rochelle as well as Cedric Hunter, 2 drivers outside looking in coming into tonight. For that is Cedric Hunter, 12th in points. Kyle Rochelle, 10th. It's going to be 12th in points for Cedric, 10th for Kyle Rochelle. Don't want to be losing too much ground to the drivers in front of you. And those drivers that are at the cut line, right in grabbing distance of trying to put you into that of the Elite 8. John Forbes, that of Nick Crawford, and as well as Cody Reed, very close on points at that bubble. If any one of those 3 drivers have a slip up here tonight, they can be bounced out very quickly.
Yeah, and right now they're located pretty much all around each other. Forbes is in 9th, Crawford in 10th here, along with Christopher Norris in 12th, Cody Reed in 13th. So that group of drivers who really need to focus on getting stage points here to help build that cushion for them as they're sitting close to that cut line. Right now, they're right on the tail of that stage point bubble. So, Nick Crawford is at 1 right now with a 10th place position. And then John Forbes will have 2 points technically with this 9th place position. But still needing to get to lap 70. That's a long way to go still here before we get to that stage. But it gets very, very tough to pass as this run goes on, as the rear tires start to go away. So these drivers are going to have to try to make up as much ground as they can here early and see if they can try to find some more of those stage points, because they do not want to see the drivers behind them gaining.
No, that is something they really do not want to have at all. But man, when we look at this, 12 drivers that are running in the playoffs right now, probably one of the biggest underdogs of them all, and just outside coming in that of 9th in points. When we go up to the driver in 11th place, that's Noah Steele. This 8 machine, we really haven't talked much about him for the majority of this season. He's kind of an under the radar, just placing good, consistent runs, getting himself to this position in the playoffs. But tonight might have to be an outshining type of evening. Noah Steele really showed up at the end of the regular season at that of Charlotte, finished 2nd there. But here this evening, he comes in needing just that of 7 points to catch up to that of Cody Reed, 8 points to move up past that of Nick Crawford. And with all those drivers being right on top of one another, you need these bonus points. That means this 8 needs to start moving forward.
That he does here, like you said, in 11th. He's 1 position behind those stage points, and I'm sure he wants more than just 1 stage point. So, yeah, like you say, he needs to definitely get a move on it. But he's also got that 30 of Christopher Norris right behind him, who is a driver up ahead of him in points, who came in here about 7 points to it. So it's personally, Christopher Norris, he doesn't want to see himself not get stage points here, because that's going to allow a lot of drivers who are behind that cut line to gain on him. So hopefully for his sake, he'll be able to try to make some moves, but it's going to be tough, because all these drivers, every single position matters here for them. It's going to be fighting from pretty much the drop of this green flag all the way down to the checkered flag.
Driver that's hurting the most right now on positioning and really is not looking good. Didn't have a great performance last week at Road America. That's Eric Stamp back in 19th place. He needs to start moving forward. But we see, all the drivers having their own type of runs. Eric Stamp had a miracle run last season at that of the Old Atlanta configuration for the fuel mileage run. Then found himself winning at Daytona to start the season off. That got him into the playoffs. His 53, though, been racing around his teammate, that of Logan Brakey. And both of these drivers from Colored Teal Graphics team, and certainly have been looking strong at times. With this 53 needing some help if he wants to find himself going forward, which could come in the factor of drivers getting involved with the wrecks if they're not careful up in front of them.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Maybe not having the pace here tonight in the short tracks is, the 53s camp and maybe the 29, but they're going to probably be looking to survive this race and maybe hope some attrition plays out here where some of these drivers go out here and make the mistakes, because I can tell you just from watching practice, there was tons of mistakes, and that was from the drivers leading this race. I mean, Mark Whitley, he had multiple spins in that practice, so nobody's immune to this. Just because you're fast doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to have those moments where those bumps really come out and strike you, because again, as those tires wear, this run gets tougher and tougher on these drivers. And you can see right now, right on board braking, he's moving all over this racetrack, really using a bunch of that top groove, trying to get away from the bumps and find the grip here, as it's been a tough start here for a few drivers already looking and searching for that grip.
And this group right now, they're right on board Logan Brakey. They are at the tail end of the lead group, and they've got to be careful because our leaders are about a straightaway away from them. You can slowly see them in front. They're going to be on the entry of turn 1 while coming on the exit of turn 4, and you see those small little dots ahead. That's the tail end of the lead lap as we're right on board with our leader, Mark Whitley. And Zach, that just means in about 20 laps, we could be seeing some lap traffic be a factor for our leaders.
And this is a tough track to pass, so I think that could cause the old yo-yo effect, accordion it up here in this front group, because right now...
Oh no, Joshua Freed!
Yeah, Freed right here right in front of him, spun, but he's going to get it back going. I believe we're going to be fine there with that 96 getting back up to speed, and he's on the apron here in 1, so I think we'll stay green, but Mark Whitley definitely had a little bit of a moment there as he went by that. But yeah, Whitley and Crawford, Cochran have already opened up a nice size gap to this group right here, being led by Ethan Smith here, and along with Jonathan Smith. But it looks like Cedric Hunter going to look to the outside of the 72 here and try to go around the long way, but he's going to have the 96 of Free here. It might become 3 wide on the exit.
Joshua Freed going to stay in the throttle, which is going to be putting the pressure, almost contact, as Smith's going to be able to hold on for himself after getting loose, and a gutsy call by Cedric Hunter. And also for that of Joshua Freed, that 96 did not even think about backing out of that situation, just kept his foot in the throttle, and somehow they survived in that middle pack.
Yeah, they definitely, it was pretty close action there as Jonathan Smith, actually the Nashville native here, so that's definitely knows this track very well, and has even worked out here at the racetrack many times, I know, from his past. So Jonathan is definitely a great short track racer, and that's, I think, showing here tonight, is he's right in the mix with all these playoff drivers, as he's got that bright highlighter machine of Kyle Rochelle right behind him, who's kind of in the same boat as Cedric Hunter. He needs to go up here and have really a spectacular stage if he wants to make up some ground and even hope for a points chance.
Looking at the lap times, this last run looks to be that of Danny Cochran in second place, the fastest truck on track, but about a second off of Mark Whitley, as Mark Whitley still starting to close in on lap traffic, as seated 21 of Kyle Rochelle did not have the run that he wanted last week at that Road America, and it just has not been the pill to swallow. It could have been a tough pill to swallow for some drivers after last week's adventures. Yet Cedric Hunter caught up in a major wreck. Kyle Rochelle almost found himself being disqualified with the race with the amount of incident points that he had. But other drivers have been performing pretty well after Road America. Ethan Smith, one of those that's hoping for a good run. But Zach, when we talk about drivers last week's woes, Nick Crawford, probably the biggest of them. He had the most dominant car, but somehow could not find himself getting the win after having some issues.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest heartbreaks of the season. I'd say he had such a dominant run going on there at that Road America racetrack, and really, I mean, just a small power blip for him there just really took him out of any contention, knocked his internet out, and he was out of that race. So it really hurt this forced, chances of locking himself in and feeling very confident entering here tonight. It really put him in a pretty much a situation where he needs to go get the most points possible. So it's a tough situation, but luckily he won the first stage. That really gives him the availability to, have that issue and still somewhat be in that playoff contention.
And also, he was one of the only drivers to have 0 incident points last week, so he actually got a bonus point that allowed him to have a 1-point advantage over Cody Reed. So all the small little details that can help you move forward and have a chance for a championship, as see the battling of drivers trying to get by the lap car of Joshua Freed, as he's going to be in the lead of this group. You got Christopher Norris here, who had a very strong performance with everyone else's woes. This 38 machine was able to finish up front, and I've got to say, Norris looked quite comfortable at the road course here tonight, though, stuck in the middle of the group, but exactly where around the drivers he needs to be by if he just wants to keep the points, a little bit of a buffer he's got going into the end of tonight.
Yeah, he definitely needs to have a good night, but nothing, too spectacular with the points buffer he built up there at Road America. And he's shown to be a great road course racer in the past here at the ISRC, and that's really where he's actually shined the best here. So it's definitely been good for him there as he's moved himself still in this 12th position, a little bit off of Noah still after getting around freed there, that lapper. But the 25-year Reed, he's the one making up a lot of ground, up from 18th now to 13th on the back bumper of this 38 machine. But you can see already the rear ends of these trucks starting to kick out more and more as this run goes on.
And Cody Reed, one of those drivers that's been involved with a lot of practice this week when watching drivers. Yeah, so there's some cluster of drivers that put in the time, put in the effort, trying to get faster at every track that we go to. Danny Cochran, Ollie Fonseca, Ethan Smith, and Cody Reed were part of that four-horseman group that came in, put in a lot of time. John Force was another driver that was trying to put in a lot of time to get better at this track, recognizing how impactful tonight could be if this race stayed green. Right now, Cody Reed, poor qualifying run for himself, and oh no, it's the Cody Reed mistake that we usually see. Self-spins on the front stretch, bringing out the caution right when we were coming to lap 40.
Luckily for him, he might be able to get this thing fired back up in front of Whitley, but I don't think he will, as there goes Whitley around him and Cochran. So big mistake we just seen there live from the 28.5 machine. And like you said, that's what's kind of plagued them this season, has been those spins in that 25. And man, it's tough. Again, this track, as the run goes on, the more and more it happens, that truck really starts to free up, and it definitely stepped away from that 25 there as he's going to go a lap down.
And pit stops underway. Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, the rest of the field all coming into pit road. They got 4 sets of tires to work with, and this is the calling to come in.
Yeah, this is an interesting call here for these drivers. I think everybody knows how critical stage points are going to be. They said, we need to go ahead and burn a set of tires here now as they come into their pit boxes. And this is one of the most interesting pit roads also. Super tight on the entry, and also even on the exit. I know a few drivers were talking about being worried about getting a lane exit violation there, as it really tightens up right there at that commitment cone on the exit. So we'll see who can make up some ground here on the newer tires, but the new tires are definitely wanted by these drivers after that first 40 lap run or so.
And because of the way the drivers were spun around, I believe the driver that's going to get the lucky dog spot could be Logan Brakey in that 29. I believe also Joshua Freed, one of the drivers that's in that notable spot to grab that lucky dog position. But the 25, Cody Reed, like you said, got beat out when trying to get fired back up and moving, and is going to be staying a lap down, and is going to be one of our only drivers a lap down. You hate to see that for this 25 team, again, who came in as our bubble driver. A ton of pressure on Cody Reed, and this has kind of been one of those seasons where Cody Reed puts a lot of pressure on himself to perform well. Now with this extra pressure, he's got to step up and show out what he's got here tonight, as a few drivers deciding to stay out on older tires.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, Sam. Robert Hatton back in the 99 and the 53 of Eric Stamp. Both these drivers elected to do that. An interesting call here, as Stamp, I think maybe he was trying to say maybe I can go out there and get a bonus point for leading a lap here, save a set of tires. But with Hatton back also doing the same strategy, he has not been able to lead that lap. So he's going to have to try to get around this 99, but he's going to have brand new tires right on his rear bumper. It's going to be very tough to get that lap led. So right now it's really just going to play out to be somewhat of a tire strategy here, saving an extra set. But, with the way the fuel mileage is and really how this race is playing out, I think they have plenty of sets here for tonight, so saving that set might not come back to be too beneficial, but you never know. In the end game, this race could go, up for a lot of cautions. I mean, we've only had 2 so far, but you never know. That could really spiral out of control, especially with how tough this racetrack is. So maybe that's what the 53 is looking at, but it's a tough spot to be in here on old tires on this front row for both trucks.
As the 99's going to take that inside lane, it gives us a time to thank one of our sponsors, that of iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag has got plenty of great equipment to help you as a iRacing driver. They've got themselves the iFlag virtual flag system, digital pit boards that give you tons of different content, and also information on how to become a better driver out there. And if you'd like to go get yourself some iRacing iFlag equipment, go remember to use our promo code FreakyFast 2022 today, as that's going to be our second caution of the night. Well, guess what? We're back to Green Flag Racing in just a jiffy, as we're back to Green Flag Racing for Welcome to Smashville 175% by Larry Productions, and already Mark Whitley is gone. Or is he?
Oh, yeah, that got real close and stamp up into the wall as the 99 hatback got into him. They're wrecking, though, as Jonathan Smith, Kyle Rochelle, Nick Crawford, all of them trying to make it by, but somehow they keep it straight, but everybody going for any little position here to start off this run.
They scattered like rats, but somehow they kept it all together. And now going to be keeping us green as Mark Whitley's going to be staying up front. Danny Cochran going to be in line. Ollie Fonseca third. Ethan Smith fourth. And Eric Stamp somehow holding in fifth place, but never got that lap led. Nor is Robert Hadenback. They're still in the thick of things with those older tires. But the rest of the field dealing with little scrapes and bruises all throughout the field with that little bit of bonanza happening for a quick second there. I mean, Zach, somehow they kept it straight, but Jonathan Smith being the one who got the worst of it.
Yeah, and I tell you, a few other drivers had some issues with wheel spin. I saw in the 13 Cedric Hunter, I mean, he almost wrecked completely into the wall. So that was almost a big moment for that 13 who needs a big night. And Jonathan Smith here, he had to really check up with all that stuff happening. Him and Kyle Rochelle got into it. Nick Crawford, you can see the left side door there. That was from that damage there of contact there as they all scattered. And, man, that's a tough break for him. But luckily, in this case, it's not too bad.
Eric Stamp gets loose out of four, somehow holds on the inside, thought he was going to overcorrect, doesn't. And that was right in front of Christopher Norris and that of Nick Crawford. That 53, the old tires, just too much to handle at this current moment as everyone else making the inside, the outside lane work, and it's a lot of trust the lane you're in. And that of John Ford's able to make the move. His head back gets ducked down to the inside lane. Somehow holds on. And that's just going to be the big, phrase being used is somehow holding on with the amount of looseness these drivers are feeling on the exit.
Yeah, they are, man. Those older tires are not firing off too well because you got to think they go around here at this racetrack at pace speed. That even cools the tires down more. And when you get those colder tires and the pressures start to come back down to earth and the temperatures do, you will see that condition of a little bit of a looser condition. So tough deal for those drivers to deal with. And the big thing for them, they got to worry about going a lap down here with the stage ending at lap 70 there. That is going to, be pretty soon, but with how much they're off the pace with those tires, they could be in jeopardy of going a lap down.
Right now, that of Eric Stamp's about 8 seconds off of our leader, and at the pace that we're going right now, he could be in that troublesome spot, especially with the fact that we've only been able to stay green for about 10 laps now, and that 53 does not look smooth, but Ollie Fonseca looking like a hero here tonight. He got knocked out of the playoffs from around 16 to the round of 12, and he has been showing out. Last week, he was aggressive with the playoff drivers, and here tonight, put in a lot of practice, trying to become faster and faster to just show, hey, you're lucky I got kicked and knocked out of the playoffs, because right now, he looks to be a threat that could have made the top 8 if he had not been bumped out in that 3-way tiebreaker at the end of the round of 16.
It's really showing out here. I mean, this is the time of the season where the drivers are at their best. They put in the most preparation and the most work coming into a race. So for Fonseca to be running third, I think that is a brilliant statement by him here tonight, just showing what is for to come here for seasons forward for himself. So, always could carry that momentum into the next season. And I love to see when drivers that are not in the playoffs still taking their craft seriously and going out there and preparing for it. So great job on Fonseca. When we look back to the 8 machine, I know is still, he's right here up to 7th with all that scattering and all that effects of what happened there with those drivers on the old tires. This right here really helped out this 8 machine as he's been able to get himself in a much better position here to get better stage points.
Yeah, and those stage points are going to be so massive. Also having Kyle Rochelle up in the top 10 and also having that of Cedric Hunter up in the top 10. These are points that are being taken away from the other drivers that were in our 8, in our Elite 8 coming into tonight. I mean, John Forbes is not in our top 10. Nick Crawford is not in our top, is just 10th. That of Christopher Norris is 9th, but Cody Reed being a lap down, that is a position that can be grabbed very easily. And with John Forbes being off the pace, those are some major points that could be grabbed for these drivers. But Cody Reed is in some major trouble because he was the only driver a lap down. But if this pace and if this race continues to stay green until our stage break, this 25 could find himself being the 2nd driver a lap down and not get that lucky duck spot.
Yeah, I was going to bring up that, he's not in a bad position because he's the first car a lap down. There's no other cars a lap down. But like you said, Sam, as this stage clicks away, those drivers on those older tires of Eric Stamp, Robert Hattenback, they are only a couple of seconds right ahead of Mark Whitley. And with 10 laps here to go, he's got plenty of time to lap these guys. And that would really hurt Cody Reed's chance because he's hoping for this stage break here to be that lucky dog. But one of those cars goes a lap down, it will go away from him, and that would be a huge detriment to the rest of his race here, as it's going to get tougher and tougher as the race goes on with more drivers going a lap down.
10 laps go here in our stage break at the end of lap 70 here tonight. Top 10 get those bonus points as Mark Whitley, that of Danny Cochran, Ollie Fonseca, Ethan Smith, Cedric Hunter, Trenton Jump, that of Noah Steele, Kyle Rochelle, Christopher Norris, and that of Nick Crawford, all trying to get as many bonus points as they can for themselves. Ollie Fonseca, you look at that field that just ran down, the only non-playoff driver in our top 10 at this current moment.
That's just showing how much preparation he put in, man. That's great for Fonseca there in the 24 like we were talking about earlier. So he'll be looking to continue on that for a good run here tonight. But riding back here in the 12th spot, we're on board with this 5 machine of Dakota Muniz. He could see right up ahead of him. Those are the stage points. You got Christopher Norris and Nick Crawford there needing those stage points as they've come. You know, really Nick Crawford needs it more than anything, right above that cut line there in that Ford machine. So he does have the opportunity here to get 1 point, but he does have the 72 of Jonathan Smith, who's been very quick here tonight, right behind him. So it's going to be tough. You got to keep him behind here before we get to that Larry's Art production stage, man. It's going to be a wild ride here. And these, like we've always seen, every single point matters. Even those 0x points matter, just like you brought up from Nick Crawford's last week at Road America. So these drivers know how valuable each point is. This should get a little spicy here for a few positions.
I mean, Christopher Norris, one of the drivers that truly knows how impactful points are. I mean, he got into the playoffs by just 2 points, with his win at Atlanta almost being negated. And now see Nick Crawford to the outside at 38, doing a little bit of a swap, helping out his teammate get that extra bonus point for themselves. But for that of Christopher Norris, he also was tied in the last round. A lot of hopes that, and feeling a little bit more comfortable on the fact that he's not going to have to worry as much coming into tonight with this extra just 1 bonus point. Going to be a lot, especially with the smaller field of only 21 drivers. As you see the drivers in blue, those are the drivers that are aiming for those stage points as the laps continue to tick down. 4 more to go here before we are done with stage 1.
And there's some battles starting to heat up. I mean, Norris here trying to hold off for that last position. Very critical for him to at least get that 1 bonus point here. He knows how valuable, like you said, it could be for him. You also had the 00 trying to hold off the 13 of Cedric Hunter up ahead. So there's multiple drivers that need as many points as possible, and they know what is on the line here. We could see a little bit of fireworks possible.
Hold on to the best that you can. Cedric Hunter right here trying to get by the driver that is going to be going a lap down. Cody Reed will not be getting a lucky dog spot at our stage break. He'll have to stay out there on track and hope that we can, find himself getting back on the lead lap with doing a wave around as Cedric Hunter somehow slipping and sliding as we're on the white flag of the stage break. Mark Whitley been dominating all night long, heading into turn number 3, the 77. He gets some fresh air, and I don't think anyone's looking to stop this 77 machine. Out of turn 4, give him the stage win. That is going to be done as we wait for 10th place to cross the line. That's Christopher Norris, still under pressure from Jonathan Smith. Out of turn 4 for the 38. The yellow flag comes out, and that is your stage break here, sponsored by Larry Art Productions.
That was a great stage, man. I tell you what, Whitley was super dominant. That 77 looked super strong. It cleaned up every little bit of a mistake he made in that practice that I watched. He's been looking very, very strong, and even on that longer run we had, he looked very, very good.
As we do a rundown of where our final going to be top 10 drivers, it's going to be Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, Ollie Fonseca, Ethan Smith, Cedric Hunter going to be your top 5 with Trenton Jump, Noah Steele, as well as Kyle Rochelle, Nick Crawford, and Christopher Norris finishing out your top 10. As those are the top 10 drivers getting bonus points here tonight for Welcome to Smashville 175. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it is more racing action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Well, we were under commercial break. They came back to Green Flag Racing, and pandemonium has now struck the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Here's a replay of what went down. Ethan Smith, Trent Jump running hard against one another, and this is going to collect at least 2 of our playoff contenders here tonight. Trent Jump gets loose, makes contact with Ethan Smith. Smith goes down, and Zach, this is when everything else goes unhinged.
Yeah, it really does go unhinged because right behind here, you're going to see that 38 come into the picture. He gets a little bit of contact from the 5 of Dakota Maniz coming off of 4. It shoves that 38 down the racetrack, and he's just in the wrong place at the wrong time and right into the side door of Ethan Smith. And guess what? Both of those drivers require damage flags, so they're going to be sitting on pit road, getting those trucks fixed up, going multiple laps down. This is a tough break, but it does help the driver of the 25 there as he's going to get his lap back, I believe.
Big advantage that came in for at least Ethan Smith and Christopher Norris. Yes, they are going to fall deep in the field because they have to stay in pit road with that required damage flag, but they got the stage points, Zach, and they both had at least a small buffer to work with at the cutoff line. So there's at least that some positive they can take, and due to the fact that Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran, both the top 2 drivers have been dominating this race. As long as they're the 2 drivers that find themselves into victory lane, that's not a win in your in system that can bump out that of either Norris or Smith. But now they're in a terrible spot moving forward.
Yeah, this is a tough break. I feel like this probably is not what both of those drivers are, expecting to be in the position right there. And it's just simple mistakes. I mean, Trenton jumped there just a little bit free off that top side, and that's just how these trucks have been here tonight. Just a little bit on the looser side, especially on those newer tires. And all it takes is that simple contact right down into the truck down below you. And from there, Ethan Smith had he was an innocent bystander. He was really just along for the ride, straight head first into the barrier, and then that's just going to bounce him up back into, somewhat of the middle groove of the racetrack. And then from there, the contact from behind kind of, makes it all come together as one big incident. So just shows you one little moment can just change everything when you're racing at these speeds in these trucks.
As this is going to be helping that of Cody Reed at least gain some positions as he's back on the lead lap and able to actually get tires under this caution. A couple of other drivers also doing the same strategy that of going to be seeing Eric Stamp, Tyler Dangler, Mark Morales Jr., and Cody Reed all able to come into pit road, get tires, and they're going to have at least a small advantage to work with. Not a big one, but going to be able to be on the lead lap and back out there on track for themselves. We only got 16 drivers on the lead lap. Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran have been the dominators up front. Mark Whitley has led practically every single lap, and with this pace laps, that's 77, now going to be also clinching the most laps led on top of all the other bonus points that he's had. He won the stage break. He also got a bonus point for leading the lap, getting the most laps led, with there only being 21 drivers showing up here tonight. And a lot of bonus points were grabbed at the stage break. 77 is locked in, but now he wants to be officially locked in with a win as we're back to Green Flag Racing.
Yeah, he's been excellent on each of these restarts. Started in that second spot to start the race, took the lead immediately. And, Danny Cochran, the pole setter here tonight, he's going to think, at what point can I get that type of restart there to get around this 77? Because those 2 have just been the 2 dominant trucks of the beginning of this race. But anything can still play out as we got plenty of time left here in this event. And we've already seen 2, playoff drivers getting into major incidents there and really hurting their chances here as we head farther into this race. But here you go, Fonseca. He's got the 21 Rochelle all over the back bumper in the 21, almost getting into him.
And you also can see on that right side of the 24, heavily scraped up after that last caution, got into the outside wall. Got a lot of damage he's now dealing with that wasn't there before. And Zach, that right side damage, especially on a track like this of the fairgrounds, you don't want to get any more of that side damage. That certainly can affect these drivers.
No, it really can. I mean, like I was saying earlier in this race, it just because it's a half mile and, you're going, slower speeds than what you would normally see at a lot of other tracks, these trucks are so aero dependent. It doesn't matter if you're going 60 mile an hour or 140 mile an hour. These trucks are super aero dependent, so you need to have as much downforce as possible. And you can see riding on board with them, you can see that ripple on the right front, and that is where he's losing a little bit of downforce. But we'll see how he can manage it throughout the night. It could, it'd be a worst case scenario if we were at a 1.5 mile or a 2 mile racetrack where drag really played a factor. But here tonight, it's just going to be a little bit of loss of downforce, which will just take away a little bit of grip from that front end, which you never know with how the balance is. If he's really overall loose, sometimes that front end damage can tighten you up just a little bit. So you never know. Sometimes it can help your balance.
As right now we're right on board with that 24 machine. But some other great battles that are happening is the 21 and the 13 behind that of Ollie Fonseca. That's the battle for 5th place. Kyle Rochelle, Cedric Hunter at 21 at one moment was right on Ollie's back bumper. Well, he's now lost the spot, and that could be due to the fact of a little bit of front end damage the 21 is dealing with.
Yeah, he's dealing with a little bit of damage there still, and that is center punch damage too, right in the splitter, and that is the main downforce maker. You know, Fonseca, we've seen a lot of fender damage. And fenders, you know, they do make a lot of downforce, but it's mostly on that front splitter, as we see back here from this 13 machine as he's trying to get away from this 21. But I can already see it. It's really affecting Rochelle, and he's really pushing tight in these corners. So tough break for him, but he's going to try to have Jonathan Smith try to go around him, but the 72 can't make it happen. That's going to open up the door for the 8 right behind him to possibly get to his outside and try to make a pass.
And for that, a Noah Steele, a driver that, again, was under the covers of the night, really was one of the drivers we never really was picking out as a heavy favorite to make it outside of our round of 16. He had some good runs late in the regular season, but Noah Steele, with this type of just consistent run, and due to the fact of Christopher Norris and Ethan Smith having been involved with that wreck, and they're going to be going multiple laps down before they can get back out on track. This 8, this is his best opportunity. He needed some mistakes from drivers up ahead of him in points, and now he just needs to run in line in 8th place, and he should be one of the drivers that can punch his ticket into the Elite 8.
Yeah, he's got a big opportunity on his hands here. He just needs to be mistake-free through the rest of the night. And I tell you what, from what we've seen already, it's tough not to make mistakes. So these drivers are going to have to really stay focused. But Noah Steele, like you said earlier, Sam, he has really came on at the end of this season. It's just been much more progression, especially at the end of that regular season where he built a lot of momentum up. And Road America last week, I got to commend him. Did not have a lot of pace, but he survived the race. He made the laps and made up ground on a lot of drivers who had big mistakes, such as the 13, you know, the 4 having his issues. There was many mistakes out there from drivers that really set him back, and Noah still took advantage of it.
It got to make sense that he would perform well at Nashville, because his best starting position was at Nashville Super Speedway at the end of the season, last race of the regular season. And now here tonight, he finds himself in 8th. Another driver that got a little bit of a real helpful surge there late, and it's going to be that of the 25 of Cody Reed. He had a really risky call at the stage break, had to take the wave around, did not come to pit road for tires, and if that race had stayed, if we had stayed green and we didn't get that big calamity wreck that involved Ethan Smith and Christopher Norris, this 25 could have been a lap down by now, but instead was able to get fresh rubber. He's up to 12th, and now trying to pressure his teammate of John Forbes.
Yeah, and for John Forbes also, I mean, he came in somewhat close on points, also didn't get stage points here tonight, finishing around the 13th spot. He's got to worry a little bit, too, about some of these drivers who are farther up the grid on him that got stage points and gained a little bit of ground. He cannot be looking to finish where he's at. He could possibly be looking to get knocked out, and right now the 25 of his teammate showing a little bit more pace here, able to really turn that car down the racetrack, as this 11 seems to be had a little bit of a struggle here tonight.
A little bit of a troublesome spot, but able to hold on for now. As talking about drivers, don't want to be making mistakes, but as the run continues on, that outside wall just seems to get bigger and bigger of drivers just getting closer on the exit, as we see that of the teammates working with one another. But a driver also that was kind of gifted on that last yellow, Eric Stamp, also able to find himself in 14th. He needs to practically win tonight for that 53 machine if he wants to find himself going to the Elite 8. But hey, with the way that we've been seeing some troubles, might not be the worst thing out there, as that of seeing Tyler Dingler out there on track running that of a special scheme for himself, the B19, that sadly involved with a giant collision and was involved in a giant plane crash over Veterans Weekend tribute truck that we're seeing the 19 run here tonight.
Yeah, that's very special of him and very awesome to see Tyler do that. And it definitely was a tragic accident there, as I'm sure a lot of people have seen in that. And just very, very sad to see something like that happen. But, you know, you got to commend our veterans and all our, you know, Air Force men and, you know, any servicemen out there. So thank you for your service. But, ooh, man, the 53 there. Ooh, great job by Tyler Dingler there backing out, because the 53, he had a major moment there and almost lost that machine. Now Dingler going to go by him. Here's the 53, goes up the racetrack, and that's going to allow Tyler to make that pass happen.
Gonna make the pass. You can see that damage the 53 has been dealing with a ton here this evening, but we got to go in front of these drivers because Kyle Rochelle, that damage has been hurting him, and now tire wear is starting to hurt. That battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th, it is a gaggle of cars that just cannot get away from one another, and this is a dangerous spot with old tires staying side by side as long as they've been, and a little bit of contact there going to be made with 72 in the 8th.
Yeah, the 72 getting his elbows out a little bit. Now the 8 going to get back to that outside here. And the 72 going to try to clear him down here into the entry of 3 and 4, but the 8 going to fight back on the outside. And yeah, Kyle Rochelle really caused this drag up. But oh man, Jonathan Smith holding on to that machine, almost similar to what we've seen there with Cody Reed earlier in this race. But luckily he holds on to it, but that's going to lose out a lot of positions for that 72 there, as he's going to drop all the way back to 13th.
Somehow holds on that inside pit wall, really helping the fact that we were able to stay green there, as we are We are past 100 laps into this race. We've already had our stage break, and if you're just joining us now, this is the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. It is the cutoff race of the round of 12 for the playoff racing action for these drivers. They had Road America last week and Nashville Fairgrounds here tonight, as it is the Welcome to Smashville 175 presented by Larry Art Productions. As the drivers this evening, we've seen some highs of Mark Whitley dominating up front, but some major lows for Ethan Smith and that of Christopher Norris. Ethan Smith back out there on track. Norris still in pit road. Two drivers that were inside of our Elite 8 coming in tonight, but could be in heavy trouble being bounced out after being involved with the wreck. So we've been green for the majority of the night. We've only had just a couple of cautions throughout as Danny Cocker's trying to close in. We're giving you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Got Zach Hall with me, as well as Robert Moyer Jr. in the background running productions. Zach, what a night it's been so far, but man, it feels like it's been gone in an instant. Technically, the drivers have only been out there on track for about that of 44 minutes, and we're already 112 laps in.
Yeah, it's crazy to say that, man. I figured, we might see a little bit of a longer race here tonight with 175 laps in Nashville, but with it being a half mile, or really right over a half mile length, that if they get green flag laps in, this race is going to click away very quickly. And personally, they're not going to have to worry about no pit stops here tonight. You can go about 128 laps here under green. So when they went back green after lap 70, they have no issues on making it to this 175 lap into this race. So we could see a very, very long run to the end of this race. But here is the 24 Fonseca back up to 30, along with Cedric Hunter there up into 4th. And Hunter really needs these points. If he's that 13 machine, he's going to have to try to get around Fonseca. But getting that top 5 in the stage, it really helped him out a good bit there, as he's going to try to get himself farther up the grid and see if he can maybe make his way in points, because I can tell you, it's going to be a tough deal to beat Danny Cocker and Mark Whitley. Those two have just been lights out all night long. But caution out on the speedway. Jonathan
Smith, 72, going to be spun around in 15th place. Just loses that rear end on his own. That is going to reset this field. And as well, this is going to be a prime opportunity for drivers to come into pit road and get tires.
That it will be. This is definitely going to be that time of the run here to get those tires. And we've seen Smith had that moment earlier. Well, let's see what happens here with this moment, as it seems like, again, hits the bumps coming off the corner and just gets loose. But there's Tyler Dingler, really nowhere for that 19 to go. Gets into the rear end of that 72 and sends him around here, as that's going to bring out that caution here on this back straightaway.
Those Halloween ghouls are still marching around this 72 here tonight as drivers hit pit road to get service done for themselves. So it brings out our caution here this evening on that of lap 115. As Mark Whitley, Danny Cocker, and rest of the field come into pit road to get service done. It's going to be finding ourselves with our 5th caution of the day, 4th on-track incident to bring out a yellow. And it gives us time to say thanks to some of our sponsors. And Zach, with yellow flags coming out, sometimes iRacing doesn't bring them out, but you might want this equipment to find yourself helping out the field.
That you will, Sam. That, folks, is the admin box. Head on over to adminbox.com and check it out, because one of the best button boxes out there. And like Sam brought up there, you can race control with this button box. It's not only about the driver functionalities that we see with normal button boxes out there in the sim racing community. This one also focuses on the race control and also the pit options. So you have 3 different really major options there, even able to type in numbers. It's a great product. I'm telling you, you guys should go check it out there at adminbox.com, and you can use the discount code you see there on the screen, FFB/BOXX, to get a discount at purchase to have race control at your fingertips.
And our last sponsor here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, well, we got to self-promote just a little bit. If you're looking to get yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt or many more other great merch items, go head over to the Freaky Fast Broadcasting merch to go get yourself some great comfy wear for that of the holiday season coming around. What a gift to give to somebody, Zach. Hey, get yourself some Freaky Fast Broadcasting merch.
Hey, it's the perfect time of the year for it, especially with all those hoodies, man, and it's getting cold, so you got to bundle up. And what better way to do it? But join the Freaky Fast family, man, and get yourself a hoodie there. So definitely some great stuff, and definitely more to come in the future. When we come back in 2023, you're going to see definitely some interesting stuff out there, I'm sure, at our merch store.
As the drivers getting ready to get back to rolling action, there's some numbers that we have for ourselves. Now, John Forbes, Cody Reed did not get themselves any type of bonus points for themselves, so they're going to be finding themselves still being 2 points off of, for that of John Forbes being 2 points off Cody Reed. Cody Reed doesn't gain any points, and he's now only going to have about that of a 3-point advantage over Noah Steele, only a 6-point advantage over that of Kyle Rochelle, only 7-point advantage over that of Cedric Hunter, and still 12 points over Eric Stamp, who is in a must-win scenario for the 53. But Zach, that just means everything is closed in. The stage break certainly has made things a lot more trickier for the field out there. As for that of Christopher Norris, he's got an 8-point buffer over that of Noah Steele. Over that of Cody Reed, which then would translate to being that of an 11-point buffer over Noah Steele. So Christopher Norris now completely out of this one, but certainly in a tough spot where his fate is based on where drivers finish. And it's time for us to get back to green flag racing. Fresh rubber, cold tires. Here we go in the middle of the night.
Yeah, great start from that 77 out front there, but it's going to be side-by-side for the 3rd position on back. Cedric Hunter, he got 3rd coming off a pit road. He's going to look to try to take 3rd from Fonseca, and he does down in 3 and 4. But, oh, man, the 21, a little contact from the 46, and those two almost getting into it. And Rochelle needing big points here tonight. That is not good for the 21.
He's going to be bounced all the way back to that of 11th place, where Cody Reed, that of also John Forbes, and Dakota Moniz are going to find themselves still side by side. He's that 21 with the 25. As they're going to be seeing Kyle Rochelle, like we said, needs some big points. And this 21, not scared of being aggressive. And at this point, at this late in the race, that aggression might be the key if he's going to find himself getting in any more positions, and gets right on the back bumper of the 11 machine as Cody Reed is starting to go backwards with a little bit of that loose sensation.
Yeah, got a little bit free there. That allowed the 5 of Dakota Moniz to get to his outside. And, yeah, the 21 also trying to fight on the 11 of John Forbes. And like you said, the aggression there shown from that 21 before. And, I went back and I want to correct myself there a little bit. No contact from the 46. That was all just getting loose in the entry, getting a little bit deep, losing the rear end when it came to the corner. So that 21 definitely losing out there when it came to that. But a great save nonetheless, because we've seen tonight a few guys have those big moments and not save.
Right down low, going to go straight to the inside lane, putting John Forbes all the way to the outer groove, and John just saying, all right, you take that position, you go. I don't want to burn up my tires just yet, recognizing this race could be very impactful. If you save your tires, we get a late caution, hey, go for 2 tires. We've seen it work at other tracks. That could be the key win if you're going to find yourself getting a big finish at the end of this race.
That it very well could be. Strategy is always the name of the game when it comes down to the end of these races. But I tell you what has closed down a little bit is this 31 has a big moment. You see him have to catch it there as his hands have to fight that car coming off of 4. But he was getting closer to Whitley there, trying to maybe put him under a little bit of pressure. It's really been about an 8/10 to about a second gap between these two all night long. But I tell you what, they also got a new player there in 3rd too, to see if Cedric Hunter, maybe he can find a little bit of pace. It's surprising to say this, but even clean air here at this Nashville Super Speedway or Nashville Fairgrounds is a very, very critical thing. So just because you haven't had track position before, you might be able to show a little bit more pace as you get up here, but you can really see it. They're really working that wheel back to the right. They're trying to save these trucks coming off the corner.
Riding along with the 13 machine of Cedric Hunter, who's trying to figure out a way to close in the gap that last time by was the second fastest of our top 3 as he is trying to work that wheel. But Zach, the big thing you touched on, the bump, so we can really see it visibly riding on board with this 13 in the way that he has to work the wheel with every single bump he touches.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people think, you know, you're driving a NASCAR oval, you just turn the wheel left and press the gas. No, it's not that much. You have to be on the edge of that grip level, and those bumps make the edge of that grip level harder to find, and that's why you see that wheel not really being stationary. It goes to the left, and then you'll see he'll hit a bump or two where the truck gets a little bit unsettled, and he has to correct to the right and come back to the left and get a little bit more turn in. So you're never really stationary with that left wheel. You know, some drivers do have a little bit more of a style where they will be a little bit more stationary, and some drivers turn a little bit more. I mean, even here at Fonseca, he almost went about 90 degrees there. Cedric Hunter a little bit less wheel there in the corners. You can see the red tape goes away from the 24 there as he's turning a little bit more cranking on that wheel, and that sometimes can load up that right front. And even with this truck being a little bit free and a little bit loose, that sometimes can actually help your long run pace. So, you know, you would usually want to have less wheel, but this is definitely interesting to see the different styles between drivers.
And some drivers just feel like the tendency of putting a little bit more wheel in is the way to go if you're going to find yourself just making one corner. And sometimes it's not always big picture of how do I save the tires all the way to the end. It's just how do I make it lap per lap. And that quick focus of instantly thinking of how I need to react could save a driver compared to someone that's always thinking about the future at all times.
That it very well could. You have to stay on top of things. If, you know, this track, you kind of have to predict it, you know, and a lot of people think, oh man, it happened out of nowhere. But you have to always have that in the back of your head that the truck is going to step out. The truck is going to get a little bit free here or there, because if you're not already kind of second guessing the truck, then when it happens so quickly that you really get caught off guard, and that's when the big moments happen. So you got to really be on top of that and really kind of predicting the future, as they would say. But look at Nick Crawford go around the 86 of Hicks here. It's going to be the 21 of Rochelle now trying to do a similar position here to go around that outside spot. So great move from him there. But I believe actually now again we have a battle for second. And Danny Cochran, he has really lost the rear end of his truck. He almost wrecked going off in the one last time.
And now Cedric Hunter going to be right on the back bumper, and we'll see how this 31 to 13, who is going to hold on, as Cedric Hunter has been the driver. He's only moved up 2 positions, but it's been hard work trying to figure out how to get by each and every one of these drivers. And he's really had to learn how to make passes, while Danny Cochran, on the other hand, he's been just in pursuit mode. He's been just following the 77, hasn't had anyone on his back bumper. This is one of the first times Danny Cochran's been on the defensive here as they head down into turn number 3. The lap's going to be less than 40 to go for these drivers as Robert Hattenback goes into pit road.
Yeah, pit road there getting a little bit heated up there with Hattenback coming in. It's a little bit of a interesting time to come down here for him, but yeah, this 31, like you said, hasn't been on the defensive all night. It's kind of been on the offensive, trying to catch that 77. Now, he's got that 13 here. He's going to look to the inside, and just 2 different lines also. I got to really, you know, say that that's awesome to see here, because you can see Cochran, he goes up, puts the left side tires on that dash line, then kind of cuts it down there late on exit. While at 13, he's kind of running really the middle of that truck in the dash line, so about a half a groove to sometimes even a groove lower than that 31, trying to find any little bit of air on that nose.
As they're catching up to lap traffic, that's going to be the 00 of Ethan Smith, extremely off the pace, but just trying to run as many laps as he can to find himself not going to lose an opportunity for the playoffs and move on to the Elite 8. 00 hoping for other drivers to find their mistakes as he stays high, lets that of Danny Cochran going by, but will he let Cedric Hunter make the pass? And will do so as lap traffic trying to play nice as everyone else is trying to make it to the end of this race.
Yeah, I think he's just so off the pace right now with that damage that it's going to be hard to fight anyways here, even if those are playoff guys that you kind of really don't want to see go up there and win, especially. I mean, I know that there's a little bit of spiciness going on between the 2 teams, but I'm sure, you know, also with a 13 win in this race, if he was able to go up there and get that win, that would really be interesting, because he was well out on points airing tonight, and that would push that cut line even farther down. So it would make, I think, Ethan Smith a little bit more worried if that 13 was the drive up to the lead. But, ooh, big moment there, as you see from the back of this 31. That 13 having a major moment over those bumps exiting forward.
A huge scare for himself, but at least able to hold on for this 3rd place. And John Forbes able to move up another position for the 11 machine. That's going to be helping his fate, as that of Noah Steele is slowly trying to have a big enough gap lead. Same for Cedric Hunter, trying to steal that position away from the 11 and bounce him out. Cody Reed, I'm kind of getting nervous for the 25, because he has had such an issue on trying to go forward and crack into the top 10. Cody Reed at this current moment is in trouble of being bounced out of the Elite 8 on top of Ethan Smith and Christopher Norris being so far back.
Yeah, this is definitely a desperation time, as I say. We're probably starting to set in for that 25, who's, it all kind of compounded with a bad qualifying effort. But then the real big thing that came around to really hurt him is that spin that put him a lap down. So he's been trying to recover from that ever since. Didn't get stage points due to that spin, and now still located back in that 12th position behind that 5 Dakota Manise, and just really isn't even able to get that close yet to even try to make a move on this 5 machines. You see the 5 way up the racetrack. This is interesting to see these guys really searching here, trying to find the grip. I think that might have been just a small mistake from the 5.
And the main thing for Cody Reed is the fact that with the bonus point given to Christopher Norris, that is an 8-point difference, meaning Cody Reed needs to be 9 positions ahead. That Dakota Moniz position is crucial to make sure that Cody Reed is at least ahead of Christopher Norris when it comes to who's in what position. So then if you look at the numbers, this 25 might not get bounced out by that of either Cedric Hunter or Noah Steele, that both have been having strong runs up near that top 5 all night long.
Yeah, this is going to come down to the wire, as they say, and every point is going to matter at every position. Their driver's going to look back at these last 2 weeks and say, man, if I would just did this, it could have been a whole different thing. But, that's the tough thing about racing. You only get one chance at it. You don't have a rewind button. There's no flashbacks like you see in other games out there. This is a simulation. This is a straight-up race, 175 laps, and the best drivers will move on to that round of 8. And sometimes it's just not your day. You can be out there minding your own business and just have a simple mistake by someone else, or even have a mistake yourself that takes you out of contention. So just because you feel good doesn't mean you're always in that position.
As the laps continue to tick down, Mark Whitley has been dominating up front, leading almost every single lap here tonight. It is now officially 25 laps to go as that of the 77 continues to roll around this course. We got that of 15 drivers on the lead lap. So right on board with that of Tyler Dangler. Get a sense what the 19's dealing with some of these back markers, but gotta say, this has been a kudos to the league and to the drivers for keeping at least into these long green flag runs, where it was highly predicted that this race could have been a wreck fest if the drivers were not putting in the practice time. We saw a lot of self spins that brought out cautions here tonight, but there could have been a lot more and a lot more bigger wrecks, as we only had one true big one so far.
Yeah, I tell you, it's definitely been a lot more clean, a lot more, less mistakes than I thought I was going to see, because I was watching practice. I sat here and watched about 30, 40 minutes of this practice session here tonight just to get a good idea at this racetrack, just because not having a bunch of experience here personally as a driver, I kind of wanted to just sit there and watch these guys, do what they had to do here and get prepared for the race. And I've seen drivers that right now are running top, really the leader, I'd say, majorly. He had a ton of spins, had a bunch of just major mistakes, but it just shows you when you're in practice, you can push that little bit more to find that limit. And then Mark Willie's found that limit, and he hasn't pushed over it. And that is the great thing the 77 has done all night, and it's just been dominant pace from him lap after lap.
It really, truly has been dominant pace to be seen by this 77, and a couple of more updates to be thrown out of the back half of the field. Eric Stamp has parked it into pit road and has called it a night, as well with Robert Hadback coming into pit road with a blown engine. The 99 will not be able to get back out on track. That is another position for Ethan Smith to grab that could push him up to 7th place, to 17th place. But I don't know if 16th place is going to be capturable with the amount of laps that are left in this race. Only 20 to go for that of Mark Whitley, who's trying to get another win at another cutoff race this season.
Yeah, I don't think that 16th position will be available, with it being exactly 20 laps separating Eric Stamp and Ethan Smith with 19 laps to go. I think he's going to be 1 lap short of being able to get up to that 16th position in that 00. So that's a tough break for him. And also, this race is going to end quicker than probably 18 laps that Ethan Smith can complete, just because of how slow his truck is off the pace here with that damage. So it's going to be tough for him to make up that ground. But he should, like you said, get Hadback's position. That's great for him to get that 1 extra point there to 17th. So big deal for him, because, again, it could come down to small margins like that. That could be the reason why that 00 moves on. And even winning at Rockingham, he's got a little back of that. He got the 5-point bonus points there at Rockingham. That was the start of this round. That could be his savior here heading into the round of 8.
As some other small battles going on around the course, this of Noah Steele, Nick Crawford. Steele cannot afford to lose any more positions for the 8 machine, as it is going to be very close on if he's going to be able to make it to the next round. Nick Crawford, on the other hand, because he's ahead of John Forbes and Cody Reed, and because of the bonus points he grabbed, he should be in the good. But again, there are about 4 or 5 drivers that are very close in points with where they're running right now. It is too close for us to even try to do the math without us knowing officially where they finish, as it's 15 laps to go here at Nashville Fairgrounds. We're welcome to the Smashville 175. We certainly have seen some drivers' fates have been put up there in the sky of who knows what's going to happen with Ethan Smith, that of Christopher Norris, as they continue to watch the laps tick away. For Norris, it's been in pit road for over 30 minutes, and what a helpless feeling he's been having, knowing that for Christopher Norris, he's going to be placed in almost the same exact spot he was in before, where it is going to come down to 1 or 2 points if he's going to move on to the next round.
Yeah, and the thing that's in the back of my mind, especially for us trying to calculate all this, who has 0 incidents? That's going to be another point that could come back to be the tiebreaker as such. And then, do we see a tie? We saw a tie last round between 3 drivers to get to this round of 12. Fonseca being one of them who lost out on that tiebreaker there running in 4th. I mean, it could very well come down to that. It's going to be a close one here for the next 12 laps. We're going to have to really depend on these admins to get that information to us pretty quickly.
As they're going to hope to have that to us by at least the end of the night, hopefully, as that is going to be Cedric Hunter, 3rd place runner. Came in 12th in points, needed a massive night for himself, finished 5th at the stage break. Those were 6 points given to the 13. And now his fate is kind of resting on Noah Steele and also that of Kyle Rochelle, because he's placed himself in the best position possible for the 13. But I'm curious on if it's big enough gap that he's placed himself, as see John Forbes, who's been saving his tires. He's now on a late charge trying to go for 7th.
This is big for John Forbes here, man. Got 13th in the first stage of this race, didn't get stage points. And if he was able to get up here to 7th, get past Nick Crawford, this could be a defining moment for that 11 machine. But Nick Crawford knows he wants to have every single point available to him. So these guys are going to battle really to the very bitter end here, as they're going to be coming to that 9 to go mark. But look at that loose from both of them, but Forbes going to almost clear, but that looseness allowed the 4 to get back to the quarter penalty. Now can the 11 gas it up in the center. Yes, he does turn down through the center and gets that good run off, but the 4 almost with a good enough run. But there goes Forbes up to 7th, and that's a great job by him. That's a great improvement later in this race.
It really is, but not accounting for as Nick Crawford drifts it out of the corner. That's just getting worse for the 4 machine. But for John Forbes, Nick Crawford, not accounting for that 0 incident bonus point, that pass now puts both the 11 and the 4 tied for that one of those final positions at the tail end of our Elite 8.
That's very intense to see, and I believe Nick Crawford, he wouldn't have that 0 incident bonus point just due to that damage he has on that left side of that truck. So
and John Forbes either.
Tough. Yeah,
because he's got rear damage.
Yeah, he definitely does too. Looking at it now, so yeah, these guys aren't going to have that. So that makes it pretty much a tie for them. So 6 to go here. Anything is possible still here at Nashville.
And anything is possible, especially on the fact that we do have overtime if needed, which that could be extremely helpful for Ethan Smith on gaining some positions if we go into overtime. 5 to go. Now, if a caution happens at this moment or coming up to the white flag, that will place us into overtime. But for the 77 of Mark Whitley, he does not want to see that. He only wants to see the white flag, and the checkered flag is drivers trickling into pit road. That's Logan Brakey for himself. He was able to get repairs done, at least able to solidify himself in 19th position as Mark Whitley, 4 to go out of turn number 2.
One of the most dominant runs we've seen all season long, in my opinion. This 77 has been lights out. I mean, qualified second by 1,000th of a second to the 31 to Danny Cochran. Took the lead off the initial start. He ain't never looked back since then. The only time his lead has been compromised is drivers staying out at those cautions. So what a drive it's been for him so far. He just wants to see one more flag, and that is the white flag, and then most importantly, that checkered flag.
And as this battle, there is this pass, this up front we're watching of Mark Whitley. There was a pass being made for 5th place. Noah Steele is going to make the pass on Trenton Jump. John Forbes now trying to close in on Jump as Jump's rear ends are gone. He is struggling with 2 to go. This 77 hoping for this race to end, but same as for a lot of other drivers are hoping for the banking of the end of this race, as at a turn number 4, put it out at your right red white flag as that of Mark Whitley What a run, Zach, that he's had so far. He won back at the cutoff race for the round of 16. Well, he's got a little bit of traffic in front of him. It's his marks, the 77 of Mark Whitley. Give him the win, and as well, give him the record books, as he's going to be now the most winnish driver of the ISRC series now with that win.
Yeah, that's going to give him 7 career wins now, I believe. So the 77, adding to the number 7 total. So hitting triple sevens here pretty much tonight, and that's a big moment for the 77, who just a dominant performance. I mean, Danny Cochran definitely fast all night long also, but that 77, he was lights out. Never gave these guys even one shot or one chance to get that lead.
And John Forbes, a massive pass for himself, got by Trenton Jump there for 6th place. Jump falls to 7th. And now it's time for the calculators of the admins to put it in all the work to see who's in, who's out of making it into the Elite 8. We do know one thing, technically 2. Mark Whitley, winner tonight. Danny Cochran, winner of last week. Those 2 drivers are moving on to the Elite 8. Who are the other 6? Well, we'll find out for our post-race show, as we'll be right back to interview our top 3. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series playoff racing action. As tonight was the cutoff race of the round of 12. We got to see utter dominance by Mark Whitley, but we got our other top 3. We'll talk to them as well as we start things off with 3rd place finisher Cedric Hunter to get his ideas on how tonight went. Cedric, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on 3rd place. Man, how are you feeling after that one? Because it looked like it was tough out there on track.
I guess I'm still feeling it. I'm feeling nervous because I really hope, I made it through. I think it's going to be super close between Noah and I. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But, man, I put it all out there tonight. Passing was really bad, or really hard, and dirty air was really bad. The thing was fun to drive, though. It was really loose, and you really had to wheel it, and that kind of plays into my wheelhouse. Unfortunately, Mark was just on another level tonight, and he was flying. Danny also had a really good run. He had really good pace, so congrats to them both. I guess nervous up until we know the results.
Yeah, definitely a little bit nerve-wracking here coming down to the end, Cedric. But, man, just take us through the biggest thing you probably needed there to get around those 2 up in front of you. Because, like you said, Mark was kind of in his own zip code during the night. Danny definitely was very, very quick and definitely a good P2 truck all night long. But it seemed like you kind of found something there in that last run, able to get to 3rd, but just not able to set the pass up.
Yeah, I mean, I put it all out there. I was really trying to just send it and not hold back. And I don't know. I think I just need to restart on the high side for once. I mean, I got really lucky with just sending it in there on the final restart on the bottom and being able to hold it. I don't know. Like I said, it's really hard to pass, and it was kind of unfortunate. You can really pinch somebody down if you're riding on the high side, and I just need a mistake out of especially Danny, and then from there, I mean, I don't think I would have been able to catch Mark, even if I passed Danny and saved my stuff and did whatever. But I don't know. We finished P3rd, which I mean, I'll take it.
Well, Cedric, I know we're still waiting for the official count of who's into the Elite Eight as well, but we do know what the next couple of races are going to be. We only got 3 more left on the schedule. How are you feeling about Indy? That will be our next destination in North Wilkesboro that will finish out our round of 8.
Honestly, if I do move on, then I look forward to it. I'm pretty confident about North Wilkesboro. Indy is not one of my best tracks, but hopefully I can just get decent points there and set ourselves up for North Wilkesboro. And if I don't make it, honestly, you probably won't see me for the rest of the season. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it'll all depend here in a few minutes on what we get.
As again, we're still waiting on it, but Cedric, congratulations on 3rd place. I know we're all waiting on what the results are going to be on who's moving on, but the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
I want to give a huge shout out to you guys for doing everything that you guys do. Shout out to the admins and league drivers here. Tonight, even though we had a couple cautions, it was relatively clean and really hard fought battle. So that was a lot of fun. Shout out to my Snowy Desert Racing teammates. So we got Norris and Nick Crawford. They had a decent run. I know that Norris unfortunately got caught up in something, and which kind of just ruined his race. But I'm sure that they're both locked in and safe, and they'll go on to hopefully compete for a title. And a shout out to all the fans out there for tuning in. Thank you so much to everyone out there and to anybody that supports the Hello Kitty number 13.
As that is going to be the 13 machine of Cedric Hunter. Congratulations on 3rd place, and good luck waiting on the rest of these results.
I appreciate it, man.
As we go from the uncertainty to the 2 drivers that we know are in it for sure. 2nd place finisher going to be the 31 of Danny Cochran with us. Danny, you got your win last week. You already knew you were locked in coming in tonight, but man, how does it feel coming away with 2nd place here at the fairgrounds?
I would say it feels pretty good, but I've been under the weather the last few days, so got the flu right now or something like the flu. So nothing feels too great at the moment, but pretty happy with the top 3 result there. Mark definitely had the fastest truck out of all of us, and yeah, feels pretty good all in all, being able to bring home a podium in both races of this round.
Yeah, definitely a great round for you there, Danny, man. Congrats on another great run here, man. I hope you feel better too there. But man, definitely some great momentum. How do you feel heading into that next round with all this momentum, with it being Indianapolis and North Wilkesboro? I mean, 2 definite big ends of the spectrum.
Well, I feel pretty good about Wilkesboro. We're usually pretty consistent on the shorter tracks like that. Take here, for example. Like I said, Mark was a little bit faster than us, but there were points we had the rest of the field gapped by about 4 seconds. So I feel like we can definitely put on a pretty good show there and have a solid run. Indy, I'm not as sure about. With Indy, last time I went there in the trucks, it was so momentum based and just so tight trying to drive it. It wasn't that great of a race, and it didn't drive the best in my opinion. But you know, that was a while back, so hopefully something's been updated since then and it drives a little bit better. But yeah, we'll see what next round gives to us, and hopefully we can carry this momentum on into the last 2 rounds.
We cannot wait to see what you're going to bring, Danny, as the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Well, first of all, Larry with Larry Arts Productions, being on the hood of my truck tonight and on the doors, but putting up the sponsor for the race, as well as I believe it's the stage break. Put up the puck as the prize for tonight. That was pretty sweet. Wish we could have got that, but you know, we'll take a P2 all day. You guys for broadcasting, the admins for putting this show on, and any of my friends or family that are watching at home.
As that is going to be the 31 machine of Danny Cochran for himself. Congratulations on 2nd place, and good luck to the Elite 8.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
As we go from second place, we also go to the other driver that locked himself here tonight, dominated all the way through from the start to the end. We got Mark Whitley with us. Mark, congratulations on your win. I mean, that was the most dominant race I think we've seen from anybody this season. But man, how are you feeling after that one?
I'm feeling great, honestly. That was fun.
Yeah, Mark, I tell you what, man, a dominant performance. I'd say one of the most dominant of the year, and also just getting that 7th career win here at ISRC, taking over that all-times win list. How does that first off feel? And also another thing I want to bring up to you is, I watched you a lot in practice, and it seemed like, made a few mistakes there in practice, but mistake-free here tonight. How do you change that when you go into a race?
Yeah, can't go in here. Can't say that I wasn't having that on my mind the last 10 laps or so. We were talking about it in Discord. Like, we had like a 5 or 6 way tie for number one, and it was kind of going to be a who got the bragging right to be the first one to 7. So it feels great to be the one to first race out when we're all tied like that, to go out there and snag that win and get a loan at the top now. But yeah, practice. My whole mindset in practice most of the time is to like find the edge, like just the limit of grip, where like if you step over it at all, that's like you're done. So like I always try to like find that edge, and a lot of times I like step over it in practice, but making sure I know exactly where it's at, it helps me during the race, where I know like comfortably I can push it this hard and it should be fine. Where I know some guys, they just try to run out some smooth laps in practice, but then they get in a race situation and like you're not really sure how hard you can push it without wrecking yourself or messing somebody else out. So that's why like in practice I always just try to like, I probably drive over my head a little bit, but that's just to find the limit. And I think it helped me tonight because 3 and 4 was really tricky for me. For some reason, the rear kept wanting to step out going in the corner. But I finally found like a good, happy medium of being able to get on the brakes as hard as I want and still like not have the thing snap out. And I think it really helped in the long run. I know it seemed to be me and Danny were pretty even. I might have been a skosh faster at the short run, but we were pretty much staying nose to tail. But once we got about 20 laps, 25 laps in, I started slowly walking away. And I think it was just I could get it rotated in the center and get it turned and not have to worry about the right rear. That was the key. Like tires here, this track's so abrasive in real life and in the sim. You can keep the tires up under you can really roll on the long run. So that was the goal and that was the strategy, and it just kind of worked out.
Mark, it was amazing to watch for sure this night, and we're now heading into the next round. I know that this is your journey to get redemption from season 1, and now, season 3. You're looking like one of the favorites to watch out for. How are you feeling about Indy and as well North Wilkesboro being the next round of races we go to?
Indy, I've really liked that track here the last couple of years, especially with the truck. I feel very confident going in there. Maybe we can start off the next round with a win. That'd be great. If not, just make sure we're having a good, strong run. So feel pretty confident going in there. And then North Wilkesboro I was telling Cedric when we were in the waiting room, I really love how these trucks drive at short tracks. In North Wilkesboro, you can't say it's similar. It's not like identical to this track, but they're both like old style. Like, they got a little bit of character to them. They got some bumps in it. So I feel like, we should be pretty good there like we were here. Hopefully we can, have a clear sailing like we did tonight. And tonight pretty much went about as perfect as you could have went, other than on one restart. Danny actually gave me a shot going into one, and it actually helped me pass the guy that stayed out. So that was about the only drama we had all night. But I'm feeling real confident in these next 2 races. As long as we can do what we do, what I know I can do, we should be able to lock ourselves in for that championship 4 and go to Phoenix and win a championship and get a little bit of redemption from season 1.
Well, Mark, we cannot wait to see what you bring for this next round and also to see if you can make it to the championship 4. But for tonight, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Oh yeah, big shout out Harpoon Design, Brantley. He's puts all these paint schemes on my car. He does awesome work. He's also my spotter whenever I need one. So tonight he was up on the spotter stand helping me get through traffic and just helping us out with lap cars and stuff. So appreciate him. Check him out. harpoondesign.com. He's got if you just want to check out some other stuff he's got like 15 or 1600 different paint schemes on trading paint from all different kinds of cars. So you can check him out on there or get something custom done. And other sponsor, Shop Angry Duck. They're your one-stop shop for all your custom racewear apparel. Hats, t-shirts, hoodies, anything you want custom made. They can make it for you. No order limits. If you just want to order one thing, you can do it. They'll have it to you, I think, 2 to 3 weeks is usually the turnaround time. So check them out at Shop Angry Duck. And then got to give a shout out to my family. They're always tuning in these broadcasted races. No matter if it's on a Monday night or a late Saturday that runs over into Sunday morning, they're always watching. I appreciate them. Couldn't do it without their support. Always helps when you're down on yourself and they give you some helpful advice or, help celebrate with you when you win. So always appreciate them, especially getting close to Thanksgiving. You think of stuff you're thankful for, and family is definitely one of them. So then last shout out I would say to y'all for this broadcast. Freaky Fast, probably my favorite broadcaster on the service. I've said it 1,000 times that y'all are one of the best, if not the best, that I've seen. So great to finally be back under a league that's running here and having y'all broadcast. It's always been always a great time, and go back and watch and just sit back and rewatching the races is a lot less stressful than running them. So I got to give a shout out to y'all for putting on awesome quality.
Well, I'm happy it's easy for you to rewatch it because in the moment it certainly feels stressful just watching you guys. But certainly it seemed like it was easy and simple for you out there with the way you dominated tonight. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on making it to the Elite Eight. And good luck next round.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's going to be the 77 machine of Mark Whitley as we get to take a look at the unofficial results of tonight, as the numbers are being cranked in and still trying to figure out who is in, who is out of the playoffs. We came in with 12 drivers. Well, only 8 will make it out, but this is where they finished here tonight as Mark Whitley wins the stage and wins the race. One of the few times we get to see that this season as the 77 finds himself going to the Elite Eight. Same for that of Danny Cochran, who won last week at Road America. Cedric Hunter's going to take 3rd. Ollie Fonseca takes 4th. That of Noah Steele gets 5th. John Forbes 6th. 7th goes to that of Trenton Jump. 8th, Nick Crawford. Nolan Hicks is going to get 9th. 10th, going to be Kyle Rochelle. That's where he top 10 finishes. And Zach, it looks like the numbers are coming in. We've got our final 8 drivers. They're going to be racing for a championship. And there are some heartbreaks out there for drivers that got bumped out.
Yeah, some big heartbreaks, man. And I think first off, you got to say is the 2 drivers in 9th, really tied for 9th. And it's Christopher Norris and Cody Reed. Just tough nights here, both coming in here in the good position, but they're not going to go on to the round of 8, just having that major incident on the front straightaway for Christopher Norris, and then Cody Reed just not having that spin and then not getting stage points, finishing back in 12th. It's not going to work out for him. But 2 drivers who are definitely happy is Noah Steele and Cedric Hunter, as both those drivers move on and out of that bottom zone and into the next round. That is definitely a huge step for those 2.
Well, for that of Cedric Hunter, he certainly gave himself the best opportunity to get knocked out after spinning out and wrecking last week at Road America. Said, hey, if I don't make it into the Elite 8, he's going to be done for the season. Well, he takes that final spot. Ethan Smith going to get 6th. John Forbes also going to be getting in it, tied with 4th with Nick Crawford. Trent Jump is going to get 3rd in points. And then our top 2 both getting their wins. Mark Whitley tonight, Danny Cochran going to get 2nd. And those are going to be your drivers racing it out. The Elite 8, the stage is set. And Zach, tonight certainly gave us all the drama we needed to get to the end. These cutoff races, you never know what you're going to find. But I feel like the next round going to be a little bit more traditional, going to Indy, North Wilkesboro, compared to going to these cutoff races of Talladega and then here tonight at the fairgrounds.
Oh, it's going to be a completely different ends of the spectrum, as they should say. You got the 2.5 mile legendary oval of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm personally a little bit of a bias there, but I'm a very big fan of that racetrack. I know a lot of people don't enjoy racing there, as they say it's hard to pass, but you don't always need passing for racing, in my opinion. So we'll see who can go there and put on a good show and try to lock themselves into that Final Four. Because if you can go out there and win that first race, when you see it in real life with the Final Four stuff, when you lock yourself in early, you get that early preparation time and that time to really build up your confidence heading into that final, championship race. But then you got North Wilkesboro for the drivers who don't, such win that race to lock themselves in. And North Wilkesboro, always a tough one, similar to this racetrack, and where it's very bumpy, but I think a little bit more easy to tame. The bumps aren't as bad, and that track will also set up some good racing with multi-groove racing. So I think we got a very exciting round, next round, because it's, really 2 opposite racetracks and more, like you said, traditional, Sam.
Yeah, it's exciting to see, and honestly, I think the fields get a little bit nervous. They were hoping Cedric Hunter would finally get bounced out. North Wilkesboro is kind of like Homestead for that 13 machine. We saw him win at Homestead. Could he win at his other best track, North Wilkesboro? That our cutoff race, we'll find out and see. But tonight, history's made. We now know our Elite Eight. We also now have a new crown, most win leaderboard taker, Mark Whitley. We had that of a 5-way tie of 6 wins throughout the league. Well, number 7 is given to the 77 of Mark Whitley. Is the luck finally in line for a championship? Well, we get to see. We got 3 more weeks of ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series action. And we also have some great behind the scenes footage of how the drivers are feeling and getting themselves set up. Episode 1 of the ISRC Long Run and Episode 2 are out. Episode 3 right around the corner to give you your thoughts of the heartbreak of the round of 12. Oh, I cannot wait for all the behind the scenes on how the drivers were feeling with the highs, the lows, and much, much more. And as well for us at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we got more races this week. We've got tomorrow night more playoff action for the Full Send Racing Series, and then a finale Wednesday night. It's the Wicked Racing League Season 1, their inaugural season. Who's going to be crowned the champ as they head to Charlotte? And then we got a long week of a long break. Zach, it's kind of weird having the off season right around the corner.
That we really do, man. It's going to be very, very weird not to be doing this, a couple nights a week for myself and even just, for the folks tuning out there. But it's going to be a good break for us here at Freaky Fast. It's going to be a good time to, rejuvenate, get everything back in line and gear up for that 2023. But it ain't over yet. We still got to get through these next couple weeks of, especially here at the Truck Series, but also crown a champion on Wednesday nights. And then finally we'll end it all on Tuesday night. So 3 nights still left, but, still plenty of time here for some great racing action to end out November.
Plenty of great action, and for here Monday night, we are right back to it. It is that of Indianapolis to start the round of 8. The Elite 8 are set, and those Elite 8 once again. Winner tonight, Mark Whitley. Winner last week, Danny Cochran, Trenton Jump, Nick Crawford, John Forbes, that of Ethan Smith, Noah Steele, and Cedric Hunter. The 8 drivers still hunting for a championship. And we'll give you the coverage next week here on Monday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps us out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching. Hopefully we'll see you next week, but if we don't, free that of the Full Send Racing Series tomorrow night. We'll see you then.